If your marketing isn't working right now, it is probably not your content, it's not your funnels, and it's not your AI. It's that you don't actually know your customer or you haven't clearly defined them properly. And this is a bigger problem than it's ever been because AI will scale exactly what you give it. So if your inputs are off, then your outputs are going to be a disaster. In this video, I'm going to show you 8 reasons why your marketing isn't working, and then I'm going to give you exactly what to do to fix it. By the end of this, you'll have a clear customer definition, clearly defined avatars, otherwise known as ICP, ideal customer profiles or personas, that you can use in your business to scale with AI the right way. It's really important that you watch this video all the way through so that you can truly understand who your ideal customer is, because this is the reason that you are not converting. And this is the very reason that you would be generating AI slop. If it has to be explained, it's not understood. And one of my favorite quotes in Marketing or Advertising by David Ogilvy is that you should always use their language and you should speak how they think. And I am going to teach you how to do exactly that. So let's get into it. Reason number 1, you don't understand why your customer actually buys. We are going to talk about psychographic segmentation and behavioral segmentation today. That is like new school marketing. Old school marketing is geographic segmentation or demographic segmentation. This is like age, sex, location, what they do for a job, what is their income, are they married, where do they live? This is old school marketing and doesn't actually tell you why people buy. You need to know what they believe, what they desire, what keeps them up at night, what are their buying triggers, what makes them choose you, how can they resonate with you, how can they see themselves in you, and how can they genuinely believe you. And that is the gap that psychographic segmentation fills. And in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. Number 2, you're talking to everyone, so nobody listens. There's a famous saying in marketing, if you try and speak to everybody, you will speak to no one. And it's so true. And in my experience, a lot of clients know this, but then they get caught up with but what if I can do both? But what if I can work with beginner, intermediate, and advanced? What if I want to do fat loss and building muscle? And this is missing the point. You are being too short-sighted or too narrow-minded. And this is a huge weakness if you have multiple offers. You still can niche based on psychographics. You can niche based on common beliefs, values, lifestyle, dreams, desires, personality types. But ultimately, you want to avoid selling multiple offers to multiple people because this is the fastest way to get muddled up, confuse your audience, and just throw money down the drain from trying to be everywhere at all times. If you run a business, you know it is hard enough to cover your bases across multiple different channels, to streamline your offer so that your clients get the best results, to deliver the best customer experience. And the more different personalities and different kinds of avatars that you have in the mix, the harder it is. I will show you how you can actually niche seemingly completely different people based on their mindset. They can become one avatar. Number 3, your content doesn't connect emotionally. This is probably going to wipe out all of the creators that are using AI to make their content for them, because as soon as you put what you write into an AI tool, it washes out your personality because it is trained on formulaic copywriting formats. It is there to polish you, to make you sound better, to make you sound less like you. And this is where you can actually really win. So if you know who your ideal customer is and you know how they speak and you know what their goals, dreams, and desires are, you will be able to resonate with them on a much deeper level. And you can create content that actually speaks to the emotion that they are feeling at that point in time of their day on the channel that they are on, because that is how marketing needs to evolve now. We need to be speaking to people to meet them where they are at. And that means that if you are trying to sell B2B SaaS and you are pitching or communicating on LinkedIn, your ideal customer, their frame of mind on LinkedIn is very different to her frame of mind on the tube on the way home that day, or commuting home. So you need to meet people where they're at on the platforms that they are at the time that they are on those platforms, and give them what they want to see. That is what is expected from marketing and content communication now. And you can do that when you really know what it is that your ideal client deeply desires and what their pain points look like every single day. If you're obsessed with solving the problem, this is going to be easy for you. Number 4, you're saying the right thing at the wrong time. This builds on from what I had just said. You see people using one social media channel and hammering home their marketing for all stages of their ideal customers' journey in the one platform. But the problem with that is it doesn't often hit the mark. So I'm sure you're aware that there is awareness-based content, which you would want to be posting content that pulls in the masses. In awareness-based content, you want to be showing the problem as quickly as possible so that you can stop the scroll. It looks like talking head videos, naming the problem in the language that is immediately understood, and it feels like you genuinely understand your audience. And then you can move into consideration and conversion-based content, in which case you would speak to your audience very differently. But the problem is, if people are not ready to see your conversion-based content, it is likely that they actually won't, because we know that social media is based on an interest-based algorithm. This is where behavioral segmentation is so important, and attribution modeling comes into play, because you know that people in your email list who are opening your emails know, like, and trust you, understand that they have the problem, and really they're just looking for something to hook them in that says, I see you, I've got you, I know how to do this, trust me, let's go. It is so important that you are not missing behavior signals. People who are engaging with your content frequently, people who are watching long form content of yours, people who are reading your emails, you can communicate to them differently based on what channel they're on, based on what touch point they are seeing. Like I said, if you've taken them from a piece of content into a lead magnet, into your email list, and then back onto long form, you can speak to your audience differently to meet them where they're at. Number 5, your funnels don't match real decision making. This is the truth. The marketing funnel is kind of dead. It's a helpful visual to talk about when you want to raise a point. Depending on what funnel you are looking at, I like to think that there are 6 stages of the buyer journey. So we have the awareness stage, then we have interest, desire, action, loyalty, and advocacy. Now, the aim of the game is evangelists, right? You want to go from awareness to advocacy as seamlessly as possible. However, the funnel implies that it stops there, but really it doesn't, because advocacy brings in more awareness, which is why I much prefer this infinity loop that we teach our clients here at Big Appetite. Now, this is what I call a marketing funnel. You know that by moving somebody from awareness through to consideration, to purchase, to advocacy, and then to loyalty actually creates more awareness. And so that is the aim of the game. But this means that you don't just assume that at the end of the funnel, aka conversion, your work is done. It's not. You have to continue with great messaging and strategy post-purchase in your customer experience design or service delivery to ensure that you are continuing to raise awareness by creating loyal evangelists who are going to raise awareness to your business. And this happens when people feel really seen and heard, you deliver on your promise, and then, of course, you inspire them to light the way for others. So if you think that you can apply the same communication and messaging throughout all phases of your content on all channels, you have completely missed the mark, and you are marketing. Well, you're not really marketing at all, actually, but you are having a crack, and I'm here to help you. So without further ado, let's get into the next point. Number 6, your personalization is surface level. Just because you know that you need to communicate specifically to your ideal clients' pain points, goals, and desires doesn't mean that you are doing it well, because most people fixate on the features and benefits that they sell and the direct problem that they think that those features and benefits solve. But really, you have to tap into the cost of the problem. Tony Robbins does this so well. I went to an Unleash the Power Within 3-day event with him once. He literally had people screaming in pain, in darkness, at the top of their lungs, like tens of thousands, I'm not sure, thousands of people in this auditorium screaming about their problems. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much pain and emotion in this room. Like, you need to know the true cost of the problem. For example, the cost of the problem is not that I am 5 kilos overweight. The cost of the problem would be if I were 5 kilos overweight, had no confidence, didn't feel comfortable wearing clothes that I felt I wanted to wear, felt sense of guilt and shame every time I ate food I didn't think I should be eating, and then I punished myself for it and beat myself up over it, and I was self-loathing, and then I didn't want to approach people when I saw them out, and I felt shy, so I wasn't posting on camera, and then I was really crippling my future because I was 5 kilos overweight, right? Bad example perhaps, but that is an example of knowing the cost of the problem. And so your personalization needs to go beyond just name and or the specific problem that you solve. You need to be able to drill down and show that you understand what that problem looks like, because that problem shows up in one form or another every single day. And if you can speak to that in your content every single day, then you will be hyper specific in appealing to your audience in a way that makes them feel seen, heard, and understood, because you are showing them that you understand their problem and raising problem awareness if they are experiencing these problems every single day. And I'm going to show you exactly how to figure out what they are. Number 7, this is wild to me, but people still do it. You are building products and offers in the dark. You should not be trying to find people for your products. You should be finding products for your people. And if you have a goal to build and scale digital tools and sell apps and digital products, now more than ever, it is so important that you give the people what they want. You want to solve problems that you know exist, as opposed to trying to find a cold audience or tools that you've created because you thought it was a good idea. And this is where it is so helpful to survey your audience. I highly recommend that you survey your audience and your past and current clients. I will drop a couple of links for you below that can teach you exactly how to do this, because you want to extract their language, their dialogue. It is context for you to use in training your AI to sound more like your ideal customer. And of course, you want to learn what this is as well, so that you can pick it up when it's done well. And last but not least, number 8, the real reason that your marketing is not working is because you are letting AI do the heavy lifting and you have not given it enough context. We know that this is the biggest problem that people have with using AI. It is hallucinating, it doesn't do a good job, and as soon as you get tired and frustrated, your willpower battery is likely to diminish, and you are likely to accept and copy and paste and use and share something that ChatGPT generated that is going to lose your trust with your audience, because now that AI slop is coming into the market, people can see it and they can smell it a mile away. So how do you fix it? By the end of this, you are going to have clearly defined avatars. You might want to have 1, 2, or 3 of these depending on your offer stack. I do recommend that you have a primary and a secondary audience. They can become micro niches of your niche. They're not necessarily completely different people, right? But we do know that people have different goals, values, and beliefs that are hyper specific and hyper relevant to them. And if everything that you do resonates with your audience, you will be cheering in business. So together we are going to work through a series of questions. I am going to give you a template that looks like this. And once you've answered the questions, you can summarize the information that you have gathered from our work together to fill in this table. This will become your context document for whatever AI tools that you are using. Golden rule, don't let AI create this for you, please. Use your brain and then use your customer research, and make sure you use your words and the words of your audience verbatim. If you are not doing this, you are going to end up creating AI slop. And that is a hack. I always use that. Use these words verbatim. Or did I say this? Did my customer say this in my prompting when working with AI? So as you can see here, this is a avatar template. We are going to define the goals and values, challenges and pain points, their sources of information, their inspirations and role models. And this is going to help us communicate better and resonate faster with our ideal audience. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, If you don't, I recommend that you open up a Word document or whatever you like to write in right now and open it alongside this video. If you are not watching this video on your laptop or if you are listening to the audio, please make sure that you can take notes. Do not watch this video and drive, because I'm about to walk you through exactly how we have structured defining the ideal avatar. It is lengthy, and this is going to be the difference between a 7 or an 8-figure offer and one that doesn't hit the mark. And that is how well you know your ideal customer. You should be able to speak about them as if they are your best friend or your romantic partner, right? Number one is the demographics and background. I like to know what typical age range they are, just because I think it's important to have this information. What is their gender? What is their occupation or business type? Occupation or business type gives me an understanding of their education levels, how much spare time they have, how much money they have, and what they value. Typically speaking, people who are working as like receptionists or account managers, if they even exist anymore, structure their day very differently to people in C-suite or executive roles, as they would also if they were in like FIFO, fly in and fly out, working in the mines or working in a labor-intensive job. All of these things can tell you a lot about a person and how much time they have, which could also be a barrier to getting the results that you claim to sell. Now, moving on to psychographics and behaviors. What are the core values and beliefs of your ideal client? So this is like their actual values and traits. For example, I value family, nature, learning, growth, ambition, honesty, loyalty, integrity, results, structure, right? You want to know what it is they really value. It will help you to design the best online experience as well. Then, what are their main goals and ambitions in their business and their personal life? So for me, we work with businesses and we help build tech, digital tools and products and systems for our clients. So I like to know what are their main goals in their business, because this tells me where we need to focus, but also in their personal life. Often people have cognitive dissonance. Like somebody could say they want to be worth $100 million, but they don't want to work. That's not necessarily going to work, right? No matter what systems we can build for them to generate $100 million, you generally still have to put in a level of work, right? If you are a health or wellness coach, this is also important, because if somebody is super ambitious and dedicating a lot of time to work, it means they have less time to dedicate to their goals, and same for their personal lives. So this is something to consider when designing products and when creating content, because you want to sell the result and the dream outcome. And it usually comes from this question: what challenges and frustrations are they currently facing? Now, this is a great question to answer for content ideas. This shows the problem every single day. And you don't just want to get people at the beginning of their journey. If you want to have a long and successful career or business that is sustainable, you want to continue to service the same clients. Why would you just want to sell to somebody once? Technically, if you can retain that person for longer, then that is going to be a more profitable client for you. So if you know what challenges and frustrations they face on a daily basis, then you can always remain needed, as you can show that you can solve these. So think about every single day, what is your ideal client doing? What are the challenges, problems, or pain points that they are facing in that point in time? Then we move on to the decision-making process. Now, this is important because you can't get paid if people haven't decided to pay you. How do they typically make decisions regarding their business, investments, or partnerships? Now, if you are a health and wellness coach, this would be, how do they typically make decisions regarding investing in their health, right? So think, do they consult their friends, their family, their doctor? Do they go to social media? Are they watching YouTube videos? Are they Googling? Are they chat GPTing? How do they normally make decisions? This is important to know because you want to show up wherever they are searching. So this question can drive your marketing strategy. It can also drive how you communicate, because you can position yourself against or better than other sources of information. And of course, you can provide the information that they are looking for when making a decision, like an "is this right for me" guide, or a quiz would be a better version of that. Then you want to know, what are the major sticking points? What's a deal breaker when choosing to work with somebody like yourself? Is it that they get access to you? Do they get easy to use apps or systems? Is it that yours is faster and better and more reliable or more efficient? If you can really understand this, then this will help you with calling out benefits and or features of your offer that can solve or appeal to these sticking points. Who else might influence their decision? This is so important because the worst and most annoying objection on a sales call ever is, "I need to ask my partner." It really is, especially, for women. Sorry, I'm just saying it is. Like, why do you have to ask your partner if you can invest in your dreams or in your health and wellness? Like, yeah, sure, it's a financial decision, but what is more important than your health and wellness? Are they not supportive of you achieving your desired outcome? Anyway, you have to understand who else might influence their decisions, because you want to be prepared to counter that. Whether that's being prepared for objection handling or actually having something in place that references something that they might have seen or someone that they might have consulted, is a way to come back to building trust in your offer or what it is that you sell. In copywriting, this kind of sounds like most coaches would put you on restrictive diets and or intense workout sessions, but I actually have a different approach. So if you can name the influence, then you are likely to normalize the idea that your offer is different to that. And that then builds trust and credibility and authority for you. Next, I love to know their sources of learning, information, and education. This helps you communicate in ways that they understand. It also says a lot about their level of education or understanding of a product. For example, if you are selling coaching for wellness and weight loss and their sources of information are Women's Health Mag and Body and Soul, then you know that they're probably reading polarizing articles about cellulite and cottage cheese. But if they said to you that my favorite person to watch online is Lane Norton and Mark Carroll, you're like, wow, okay, this person has a really active interest in their health and wellness. You want to know this information. You want to ask your audience, where are they learning from? We live in a world now where information is free and everywhere. You should know who is in your ecosystem, who are their top 10 favorite creators. What do they read when they have spare time? This says a lot about them, their vocabulary, their level of understanding, and how you can communicate to your audience. I also like to know who are their role models in the industry. This also says a lot about what it is that they are looking to achieve. If I pick up a client who aspires to be like Alex Hormozy and create a venture studio and invest in multiple businesses and have a content factory, then I know that that client must be really willing to work and have big ambitions, versus getting a client that says to me, I want to be like Tony Robbins, who is known for being a philanthropist and for the transformations that he has for people at the individual level. In that case, two very different business models would apply. Then you want to know the emotional drivers and motivations. So what is the main reason for seeking out change or improvement in whatever it is that you sell? In my case, in your business. List down as many things that you can think. So you want to be very specific. You want to be as graphic as possible. You almost want to see the buying trigger in their head, that moment of need. The more descriptive you can be, the more specific and deeply resonating your content will be. One of the questions that I got from Tony Robbins, how would they feel if they successfully solved their main problem? If you need help with this, use the Gloria Wilcox feeling wheel. I will link it below. I highly recommend that you use descriptive, emotive words in your copy and language, because emotion is a universal language and we all know what it feels like to be ashamed, disgusted, sad, frustrated, angry, mad. It means different things to different people, but it means what it means, right? Sometimes we use so many words trying to prove a point, but really what we are trying to do is take somebody from pain to pleasure. And so when you know exactly how they would feel, if you can visualize that, if you can speak to people and get their words, that's really powerful, because you also want to know how they would feel if they never solved this problem. How would they feel if they remained the same? For the rest of your life, the day that you just lived is going to be the same day that you live on repeat. What terrifies you about that? What do you hate about that? These are the kinds of questions that you can get very specific and very granular on. So when I do this with my clients, we go through this, and this session takes like 90 minutes and we discuss it together. And the biggest limiting factor that I notice is my clients fill this in for the business that they currently have and not their ideal client. And there has to be a bit of a middle ground here, because you definitely can reach higher as you enter into this next stage of business. You want to be able to charge more and or sell more. So whatever success you have had, it's time to build upon that. And that means that you want to elevate your audience. And this is how you do it, but you've got to go for the top 1% of your clientele and really speak to more of those people. I'm going to make a whole other video on how to transition your avatar, but I will do that next. Last one on emotional drivers and motivations. What is their biggest fear or insecurity around not achieving this goal? Usually people will say things like, I'm just not capable. It's not possible for me. It's my genetics. What if I fail? I feel like it's too late. I'm running out of time. I don't have the resources that I need. Like, I don't know how. Insert limiting beliefs. You really want to know what these are, because you can call these out in your content and speak directly to people who feel that way. It can also sound really gimmicky if you don't do this in the language of your ideal audience. So I highly recommend that you use some of these questions in your market research. And if you've got a great relationship with your clients, you can have these conversations with them, do it over Fireflies, use the transcript and take their words verbatim. That is my new favorite word, verbatim. Use it, trust me. Okay, moving on. We are almost there. Thank you for sticking with me. Marketing and branding insights. You want to know what kind of content resonates with them the most. For example, do they want to see success stories of people who have overcome problems that they face? Is that inspiring to them? Or do they want to see interviews or tutorials? Like, what is it that people want to see? It does help to ask them. You can also ask your audience this. Do you prefer my skit videos? Are they funny for you? Or do you like when I actually break things down? This will also help you choose your channel, especially if you are creating long form content. Maybe you want to do interviews with past or current clients as opposed to full tutorials breaking down complex topics. So asking what kind of content they prefer to consume and what social media platforms they're using most frequently and what social media platforms they like, what kind of content makes them feel good. You want to know this so that you can give the people what they want. Now, lastly, I like to have fun with these questions. Please put your personality into them. These are just structured to get the most out of your audience, but really I like to think like, if you could wave a magic wand over your business, what would it do? And I want to think bigger, right? Like, if you live the same day over and over again, how would that feel? You really want to be clever with your questions, but super clear. When I say clever, I just mean, how can you use the least words possible to say the absolute most? And how can you extract beneath the layers of your ideal customer? Because the reality is a lot of people don't know. I actually get business owners that come to me, and when I say like, what are your goals? They really don't know, or they just want to make $100,000 a month. And I'm like, really? That's it? Like, really? People need help accessing this information that they just bury because they don't believe in themselves. And you need to be able to pull that out if you want to create the right context documents so that you can build your whole team of agents. They exist to serve this person. So this is the most important thing that you can be doing right now in the age of AI. You want to transcript this video. You want to watch it, pause it, write it down, do the questions in real time with me now. Don't delay it. Just get it done. Then you want to upload the transcript of this video. Just go find a YouTube to transcriptor website. I will train your AI for you. Then you can take your answers from the questions that we just went through. And then you are going to upload this avatar table and you are going to ask it to summarize your avatar in this table. And you are going to print this table out and stick it right in front of your face. Somewhere you can always see it. And this is inspired by Jeff Bezos, the empty chair theory. Apparently he keeps an empty chair in meetings, which is symbolic of the customer. So we can learn from Jeff to always keep our customer front of mind. He definitely knows a thing or two about how to make money. If you need help AIifying your business, defining your ideal customer, building outstanding, amazing tools that people love and desire, then make sure that you reach out and book a call with me. Me and our team are here to help you. As always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do share this with somebody, make a comment, let me know. I love making these videos for you, but I am new here, so your feedback is so appreciated.